This is the Google Nexus 4 running Carbon Rom, which is based on Android Kitkat 4.4. This is the first nightly release that Carbon dev team has provided. As you can see here, this is released yesterday, 30th of January. Then you have the kernel version. Going back, let me show you the carbon fibers. The buttons option here, you basically can configure how the volume buttons behave. And then you have the device tunables, you have the vibrator intensity, the color calibration. You're probably not going to do any changes here. And then you have the interface. On the interface, you have the CRT animation, and then you have the expanded desktop. You can either have the status bar visible or hidden. I like it hidden. Then you have the recents panel. Here you have the clear all button, which can either be placed on either of these places. I like to keep it at the bottom right. So if you can see here, on the right side, you have the clear all option. Going back, then you have the lock screen. In the lock screen, you have the active display, that you know about, and then you have the buttons, nothing there. General, the battery status, I like to keep it on, always on. Then you have the see-through option, and then you have the blur. So let me lock the screen. Unlocking it now. As you can see here, you can basically see through the lock screen. You also have the option to view the notifications on your lock screen. So this is pretty cool. Now the lock screen notification, I've enabled that, and then you have a couple of options here. Then you have the privacy mode. The privacy mode basically says that whether you want to see more the description of the notification or just an icon. So if I enable this, let me lock my screen, let me unlock it. As you can see here, I can't move these. These are just the icons without any description. Unlocking it, and then you have the targets. This is the lock screen targets. You can basically set any option you want. You can open any of the app directly from here. So yeah, you can customize the lock screen ring as you wish. Going back with the navigation bar. The navigation bar, you can either enable the navigation bar or you can disable it. You can add buttons here. You can let me add a search option here. So you see okay, that doesn't seem to be working, but well, you can enable, or you can basically remove these by sliding it off. And you have the ring target. Whatever I have set here, I have set the kill app, and this is the screen off app, and I can add totally up to 5, I guess. I can add 5 options there, and you can reorganize the order in which they appear. So this is the lock screen, and this is the kill app. So let me set it back. Then you have the dimensions. You can basically set the navigation bar dimension. This is the default. Looks pretty ugly, uses too much of space on the screen. Setting it back to 30 looks pretty elegant. Now you have the menu visibility. You can say that it's on. Let's setting it to default. If I say always show, you will have this settings menu option icon at the right side, and you can customize it where you want it to appear. This is a pretty use, so let me just remove that. Let me keep it at the right, disable it or set it to the default, and then let's go to the power menu. The power menu, I have enabled all the options. I have the 8-plane mode, immersive mode, profile switcher, reboot. Let me show you that. So you have all these options. The expanded desktop, right now I'm using the screen recorder option to record this video. If you go to the expanded desktop, it basically hides both your status bar and your navigation bar. If you swipe from the top or the bottom, you can see it again. Let me get out of the expanded desktop. Going back, then you have the status bar. You can fiddle around with the battery options. I can set the battery option. I've set the battery option to circle with percentage. There are lots of other options that you can try. I can show you the dotted version of it. Then you have the clock. I have set the clock to be at the center, and in the general you have the option to change the color of the status bar. You can change the color of the icon. You have the notification drawer. You can set the transparency. You can set the background image, or you can, going back, you have, if I scroll, the show in drawer will basically show your the quick tiles as a ribbon in your notification area. Let me show you that. As you can see, you have that. Let me disable that. Going to quick settings, you have the quick pull down, whether if you basically have set it to right. So what happens is, if I swipe down from the center, I can see the notification. If I swipe down from the right, I can see the quick tiles. Then you have the style. You can set the number of tiles per row, and then you have the dynamic tiles. So in the quick setting, you can configure what tiles you want to see here. If you want, you can rearrange the tiles. If you want, you can delete a particular tile and go back. If I see here, the camera tile is gone. Now going back, that's about it for the status bar. These are all the customization options that Carbon Rom currently gives you. Then I have the super user option here. Here I can change the settings. Like, I have basically given the permission for titanium backup. And then you have the privacy mode and the security. Going to the security. In the security, you have to, by default, the widgets are disabled. You need to enable it for the lock screen widgets to appear. Then you have this. Then you have the, hang on, here, the privacy guard. If you go into the advanced option, you can configure which app has access to what feature. For example, for swipe, it basically needed the location. I've turned it off, so it can't read my location. So that's about it. Oh, you also have the blacklist option here. You can have a wildcard entry. It says that, any number which starts with the 1408 1409 are going to be rejected. So that's pretty neat. That's a pretty useful option. And well, that's about it. This is the Carbon Rom by the Carbon dev team for Nexus 4 Kitkat 4.4. So the first impressions would be, this is a pretty stable ROM. I don't see any issues. There is no lag. There's absolutely no issues with this ROM. It's pretty neat. It gives you a lot of new options, new features, and the battery drain, it's nothing phenomenal. The battery life, I might have to switch to Franco kernel and try out the battery life. Well, that's about it from Carbon ROM on Nexus 4 Kitkat 4.4.